In this lab we want to simulate airflow. This tutorial is intended to be a simple introduction to flow analysis that might encompass a semester-long class to go into more detail. I'm going to start a derived configuration of my part. I'll call this wind tunnel. And then with the wind tunnel configuration active, I'm going to go to look at the side of the car, and I will draw a rectangle on an appropriate plane, and I want to make this rectangle just bigger than the car. I don't want to make it too big. The bigger you make it, the more that SolidWorks has to calculate that volume, and so I think I'll make it about that size. I'll make it tangent to one of these wheels, and so I'll select that wheel and set that to be tangent. I think I'll increase the resolution of the screen, so I'll go to my options, and on document properties for the image quality I'll drag this up here just below the red zone, and that way it'll look smoother. Then I'm going to extrude this rectangle, and we could dimension it if we want to make it easy to change the sizes of the rectangle, but I'm going to just go ahead and extrude this. And when I extrude it, I want to go all the way on either side of this part, but not too far on either side of the part. So I'm going to do mid plane, and I'm going to uncheck merge results. So I want this to be a separate solid body, and we'll drag this out. And so I see that I've got it bigger than the car. I might want to drag that out a little bit bigger, and so I'm going to make that 240s. So I have a separate solid body here for the wind tunnel, and I might want to change the color of that appearance. Let me pick some neutral color, and then I may want to make that transparent as well so that we can see through it. Alright, I'm going to shell this, removing the ends of this box. So I'll do shell, and I'll select this end, and I'll select this end to remove that end. And let's make that a shell thickness, let's say, of 2 millimeters. I'm going to go towards the outside because I don't want to go up into that tire, so we'll tell it shell outward. Alright, so I have my wind tunnel. Now I need to put a cap on each end of the tunnel, and this might be easiest to do if we turn off the transparency for a minute. And let's go ahead and name this shell. Let's call that wind tunnel. Then I'm going to start a new sketch on this face, and I will convert entities, or actually we can just draw a rectangle from this corner down to this corner, and then I will extrude that, and I'm going to tell it to go 2 millimeters, reverse the direction, and I don't want to merge that, so we'll say OK to that. I might want to copy the properties of the wind tunnel, so let's right click, and I'll do copy that appearance, and then I'll paste it onto this end. And actually it looks like I went the wrong way. I thought I flipped the direction, so let's edit that feature and make sure that we're going back into the tunnel. Alright, then I want to do the same thing on the other end. Zoom in here, I'll do a new sketch, draw a rectangle from this point to this point, and then we will extrude that as a new body, or uncheck merge results. I want to make sure that it's going into the part, so I'll flip that direction, and I'll say OK to that, and then I'll copy the properties, and I'll paste that appearance onto this end. And I'm going to name this one entrance lid, and I'll name this one exit lid. And I'm going to set those to be transparent again. Actually, for these two ends for now, I won't set those to be transparent. We can hide the visibility of the wind tunnel itself. We know that it's there, and so I will right click and just hide that wind tunnel for now. Then I'm going to go to Tools, and I'll go to Express Products, and I want to do Flow Express. And when I do that, if I have the full analysis add-in loaded, it's going to give me a warning that I need to turn that off. Actually, perhaps it doesn't do that anymore. It used to tell us that we need to turn that off. I'm going to cancel out of this just to show you what used to happen. So it used to be, I have the simulation add-in loaded, and in prior releases you would have to go into add-ins and turn off SolidWorks simulation in order to load the Express simulation. So I'll do that anyhow, and then I'll go to Tools, Express Product, Flow Express, and it asks us to select the model inlet. So I'll select the inside face of this, as the model inlet, and then I can do it as pressure, volume flow rate, or mass flow rate. I'll leave it on pressure, but you may want to experiment with other settings. So my initial pressure is 202,650. Let's double that, and you could do some calculations based on the speed that your car that you want it to go, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to double that. I'll say 205,000. And then I'll go to the next step, and then it asks for the outlet boundary condition. Now let's say that you, instead of hitting back or forward, you hit OK instead, and it left the analysis dialog box. If I go back to Tools, Express Products, Flow Simulation, my initial setting is already set up. So if I go back, it's still there. I didn't lose anything. So I can go back and forth, and I can leave this if I need to do something and then come back. Alright, so for my outlet, I'm going to select this end, and I'll just leave it whatever is on that default. Notice the pressure on the outlet is less than the pressure on the inlet. And I'll click next. I'll tell it to solve the analysis. So I ran the simulation and didn't get the behavior that I expected. So I tried to do a few things to figure out what the problem was. I made sure I had my wind tunnel visible. That didn't take care of the problem. And so finally I went to edit this sketch and remove the tangent constraint to the part. So apparently we need to have some bit of space all the way around the wind tunnel and the part that we're testing. We can't have it touching. So I'll say OK to that, and then I'll run it again. So I'll go to Tools, Express Products, Flow Express. I already have everything set up, so we did all the settings. Then I'll solve it again, and this time we can see that it's solved. So the darker or the blue color is slower velocity, and then it increases till we get back here. The reds and yellow are a faster velocity. We can animate this to show the motion of the flow, and as it speeds up as it moves towards the back. And we can show this in a couple of different ways, and I might also turn off the visibility of my wind tunnel now. So let me stop this, and I'll go to my wind tunnel, and I'll hide that solid body, and I'll also hide the lids. Right, and then I'm going to put, instead of balls, I'm going to put on pipes, and that might make it too difficult to see. We can increase or decrease the number of pipes or balls. For this particular problem, I think balls give us a better representation, but sometimes pipes will give us better representation or a better visualization. Now your job is to add another car to this, and so copy one back here and maybe offset it so that it isn't right behind this part, and then run the analysis again. Now you'll have to increase the size of the wind tunnel to accommodate another car or multiple cars, and run the analysis again. For additional practice on using Flow Express, if you go to the SolidWorks tutorials and select all SolidWorks tutorials, and then come down to the SolidWorks Flow Express, and so here's a tutorial that you can follow through on doing this ball valve.